Hello and welcome back to AWomanTalks, the podcast. I hope you're doing well, I hope you're doing fine وكل شيء بخير وعلى خير. Well, in this episode, our second episode, I would love you to have a seat, bring a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or whatever can make you chill. So we spend the few next minutes together. Don't worry, I am just setting up the mood, because the subject of today is a little hard on me, and I'm sure it will be hard on anyone who can recognize themselves in the symptoms. I said symptoms because, yes, we are talking anxiety. Actually, I will try to give the anxiety a definition, and because I went through it, and it's still a work in progress for me, I will share you some of the hacks that I usually use to be able to beat it, or at least manage it when it shows up, daily or weekly or whenever it decides to do. Well, I think that in our society, we don't take the psychological cases, states, or symptoms seriously as much as we do for the physical ones. Well, even for the physical ones, it's debatable. I just remembered that I have a friend of mine who is a future doctor. She has been told by one senior doctor, people here do not get diagnosed. They just keep ignoring the symptoms and supporting them with painkillers, and once every part of their bodies breaks down, they come to the hospital to die. Why are we unable to take care of the only thing that is keeping us here on this planet, our bodies? To take care of it. They say, take care of your body, it's the only place where you will have to live. So why don't we? What do you think of this? Let me know your opinion in the comments, please. And this may be a subject for another time. But for now, I am focusing on the psychological side, which is more تهميشا and getting ignored than the physical one. And the end goal of this episode, and maybe of the whole podcast, is to raise consciousness. If I can affect one life, one unique life, every time I bring up a sensitive, complicated, taboo subject, I will consider it a success. So would you be my success? Anxiety. If there is a time I wish you don't identify yourself in the episode, it would be this one. But if you do, don't worry, we are two in this. What is anxiety? It is a reaction of your body towards a stress situation. And here comes the misconception between stress and anxiety. People often mix and match between them too. I used to do actually. This situation where your body reacts, the stress situation, can be a dangerous situation, a major life event, and even an unpleasant situation, or nothing at all. Actually, a lot of people can face stress at some part of their lives. But when it becomes chronic, repetitive, and very familiar, when stress becomes a constant state, that's anxiety. So as simple as it is, anxiety is a constant state of stress. That's it. شكرا. عفوا. كملنا. For real, that's the key, the main symptom, and the cure. once you admit and accept the existence of the problem, you are already halfway to the solution. Cliché, I know, but I really say it and I mean it. It hits different. It is different. And why I wanted to bring this up? Because it literally affects your life entirely without any form of exaggeration. It affects how you do your life, how you organize it, how you wake up, how you go to sleep, how you spend your day, everything. Me personally, and permit me to talk about my experience with anxiety, even if I'm no expert in this, but I've been there, and I am there. I am working on it. I always describe myself as a work in progress, and I would love to share that with you. So me personally, had experienced stress since a very young age. But when we were kids, we didn't have the wording for that. We couldn't put names on things, especially psychological things. When I was young, exams were a huge source of stress for me because of my parents. And even if I was always top of the class, the school, and several times the wilaya, they always pushed me to do more, to be better, to evolve. And I am deeply grateful for that. It actually made me the person who I am today. But let's just say they overdid it. So exams were a source of stress for me whenever the post-exams period came, which was the period where they kinda gave us the corrections and marks and all. I always had un boule au ventre. My mother had to make sure that every single mark in every single module is higher than the same mark of the same module of the previous trimester. And God, how unpleasing that was for me. But we can say it was minor and it didn't expand as it did few years later in my life. And of course, let's just remember that you can't blame your parents for what their parents did to them. Another interesting subject for another episode. Anyways, during the years, the small parts of stress that came with exams became constant. And la boule au ventre turned into une mâchoire serrée, une envie de vomir, and a breathing troubles. And since I am a simple Algerian living in Algeria, I didn't even want to confess to myself that this is wrong. No one can be stressing out all their lives, all the time, and to explain to you the symptoms more, this symptom especially, it feels like your mind مش مخليك تتهنى. It keeps showing you the worst scenarios of everything and everyone, and make you feel like you actually live these worst situations right now, all the time, over and over and over again. A simple example that I lived when I first got hired, I was happy, the job was fine, something I thought I wanted, on paper, all good. Let's say it was a little dream coming true. In my mind, it was hell. It was constant hell. My brain kept telling me I am not good enough. I won't make it. They won't confirm me. I'll end up fired. They are making jokes of me. Here I'm not talking about the healthy amount of stress required to achieve things. That's fine. I am actually kinda a little stressed now about this episode because I received a very good feedbacks from you in the first one, and I don't want to disappoint you. That's a healthy amount of stress. Here, I am talking about the baseless scenarios that cannot allow you a peaceful life. And back then, I kept telling myself it's okay to feel like this all the time. Well, it's not. It's not. Another example to explain to you that anxiety is not related into major life decisions like work. It can be really minor events. One day, I was on the beach with my sister. I said I want to buy a gift for my father, and she answered, "You're so nice." Normally, this is a very calm situation and a very calm conversation. But what was really happening in my mind is I need to get money from the ATM machine and look for a store that sells the kind of gifts I wanted in a strange city on the very last day of my stay here. This will ruin my afternoon and my stay, and I already told my sister of my intention. So if I will cancel, she'll be disappointed. And I just sit there, looking to the sea, living in hell. Until she noticed that my leg was trembling and she asked, "What is it?" I explained, and she simply got shocked. That was supposed to be a calm situation. But yes, for an anxious person, the minor inconvenience will escalate directly to hell, and you will feel the pain. You will feel it for real. I'm sorry to be the one telling you this, but we need to do that. Let's just do it. Other times, it comes without triggers. Not my major nor minors. Just you constantly feel la boule au ventre. And to make it easier to imagine for those who don't know this feeling, it's like at the end of the day when you remember that you had to do an important thing and you didn't. But it's too late now, and this will have bad consequences. La boule au ventre. The unpleasant feeling. Well, this feeling, all the time, your brain is constantly living worst scenarios of everything. This is a symptom. Actually, I always told myself that I'm hoping for the best but expecting the worst to justify to myself the anxiety. But no, anxiety is not normal and not justifiable. I don't know if you felt that before. I hope not. But when you can't just chill, it eats you from the inside. Not only the inside, but also from the outside. The hair loss, the face acne that you didn't have when you were a teenager, les maux de tête, les douleurs musculaires, les nausées. I know someone who passed nights throwing up. Just imagine how uncomfortable this is, please. You wake up from your sleep at the middle of the night at 3 or 4 a.m. to throw up. Your brain sends a sign for your body to get up, to throw up, because it can't handle it anymore. And as I did, that person as well just ignored it, just told herself that it's a layer of stress. It is not. Your body here is just sending you an SOS. He did send signals to your brain. You didn't take it seriously, so it just escalated. Your body is just trying to tell you, understand me please. This is serious. Do not ignore me. I am the only place where you will have to live. Not sleeping well, having frequent insomnias, seeing bad dreams frequently. None of this is normal, people. None of it is normal. These are anxiety symptoms. In addition, when you have a digestion problems, your stomach is also very sensitive to your emotions. I think you already know that. The stomach ache, the throwing up, the pain, the orgastic rejections, it is all linked. And you may just tell yourself, I may eat something bad. Nah, you didn't eat anything bad. It is just an anxiety symptom. Something else that you may recognize in you, one other rare symptom, I say rare but it's not at all rare, always the need to be insured from others. You just can't believe that you are doing just fine, and you need to hear that from others. The constant need of validation. This also can be an anxiety symptom. I say, well, it can be, because it can be linked with other issues. It can also be the need of perfection, the controlling issues. You just feel that you need to take control over everything and everyone and every situation. And here I will just open a little parenthesis, please. I am not a wording girl. I hate it when people say words they don't understand or they don't mean. So every bad person in a relationship is narcissistic, and every problem is a trauma, and every irresponsible action is coming from the inner child? Actually, I once had an appointment with what she called herself a therapist, and she clearly told me, all your bad actions or decisions are not your responsibility. It's your inner child who is doing them. Yuck. Anyways, what I want to say is, when I use these words, I really pay attention to use them when يلزم, because شتينا ولا كرهنا, when you put a word on an action, a description on the word, it just makes things clearer and help you to search for efficient solutions, as I did. And it also will ensure you that you are not crazy, you are not imagining things, because sometimes your mind tells you things from time to another and we just don't listen. If it tells you are anxious, sweetheart, don't tell him, stop the wording, bro. Nah, just make sure to take your brain serious and make more sure to use the wording wisely. Parenthesis closed, going back to our subject. So the controlling issues also may be an anxiety symptom. Also, sleeping with the mâchoire serrée. And I had this for a very long time before I even realized it. This is an anxiety symptom. It's not may or can, it is. To beat this or to face this, I just open my mouth widely whenever I remember. You see, when you go to the dentist and he tells you to open your mouth wide, whenever I feel that my mâchoire spent the day à être serrée, I open widely. I stretch the muscle of my mâchoire that spent the day glued to each other. And it feels immediately better. So if you saw yourself while I was talking in 1 or 2 or 3, I hope not more, symptoms, maybe it's just the time to realize it's anxiety. It's not a stress period and it will not pass. But let's be clear, please, guys. Only if it's recurrent. Only if you had to learn how to live with it. If you experienced it rarely in your life, then congratulations to you. It's just a stress period. If it's permanent, know that it's anxiety. Just try to admit it, accept it, and then work on it. Just do your best with the available resources. If you can see a therapist, good for you. Go for it. There is nothing better. If you cannot, try to start today, now, with this episode, where I will share a bunch of useful hacks recommended by therapists. But please, a little advice. Don't ignore or underestimate the therapy effect, please. I will open a quick parenthesis here also, as me, my society, my people, never really believed in therapy. Exactly the same way that we never really believed in healing psychological symptoms. And me personally, I always told myself that therapy could help, but never really believed it. Of course, I am talking about real therapists with real degrees and with passion to understand the human being and the willingness to help him. I never imagined in my life that therapy could be this powerful. The insurance you get from a person who spent several years of their lives studying human behaviors, the naming they put on your attitude, the methods, the hacks, the process of talking it out, loading it off, making consciousness of it. They never can turn a blind eye on it anymore. This literally happened to me. It's an amazing experience. I think that you need to try it at least once in life. And I also think that once you do, you won't be able to stop. And by the way, you don't need to have an anxiety to see a therapist. Do you know the annual checkup you do on your body? Find a good therapist and do one on your brain, soul, heart, and mind. Once yearly, then you'll take it from there, I'm sure. But if you can't see now a therapist, it's okay. It's really okay. I couldn't also. But since you are here and you arrived to this part, you are taking consciousness and willingness to stand up for yourself. Here is how. First thing first, please stop normalizing it. It is not normal to be stressed all the time. And when you avoid something, when you hide from it, it doesn't disappear. It just sits there waiting for you to surprise you in a very bad moment. And this do not apply only on anxiety. Everything. Try to have closure for everything in your lives, please. Facing things and solving them is hard. But it's the burden of the things staying on your shoulders and the process in the background of your mind. All of this is another level of hard, and it accumulates compoundly. So first admit that it's not normal. then envy to work on it, because if you don't, it will kill you slowly. It will, definitively. When you envy to work on it, you will just admit that you are just a human, one of billions on a planet, on a solar system, on a galaxy, on a universe. And there is those who believes in parallel or multiple universes. So wherever your brain is telling you now, it's not the end of the world, or the universe, or the parallel universes. It's only in your head, and you are the master of your mind and your body. Cliché also, but believe me, when you believe it's different, it hits different. When you decide to take over the control of your mind, your body, and your life, it changes you, and it changes your world. In other words, at some point, you will need to put things into perspective. And if you hear the last episode of this podcast, you already know that I said I hate relativity. Well, not here. This is a situation where relativity helps. Put things into perspective. It's okay. It will be really okay. And as much as bothering when you are anxious and someone يجي يقولك don't be anxious and expect it to just disappear. But it's real. Decide not to. Put things into perspective. Chill. Be the master of your mind and make it slow down. Then you can use the hacks, the practical ones. Start with breathing. Even the breathing exercise has a technique. Yeah, I used to do it stupidly, where I used to fill my lungs slowly with air until they are full. Then I will just let it go at once, like this. I do this for several times, and it hurted my heart, but I thought it was working. I don't know who taught me this, but for several years, I thought this is the right way to breathe. But it actually different. You need to do it different. You need to do it right. What is right? Is that you need to inhale for 4 seconds slowly, then exhale for 6 other seconds slowly also. Try with me, please. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. And this really helped me to calm myself down whenever my heart started beating so fast. There is also one technique called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. Maybe you saw it online as I did. If yes, good for you. If no, I can share it with you. Actually, this is to use when you feel that you are in the middle of an anxiety crisis. It will help you to come back to the real moment using the 5 senses. It means when you realize that you are in the middle of a crisis, breathe, do the breathing exercise, then try to focus on listing or finding 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Example, I am in my room, I am in the middle of an anxiety crisis, okay? Inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6, and then I will try to list 5 things that I can see. My desk, my curtains, my PC, the rug, and my books. 4 things I can touch: my pajamas, my phone, my books, and my flip-flops. 3 things I can hear: my favorite playlist on Spotify, the TV in the next room, and a car passing by. 2 things I can smell: the food I just made and the new hair serum I put a while ago. 1 thing I can taste: I think I can't find anything to taste, so I try to focus more. What can I taste? The gloss I put today earlier. So that's it. The technique of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 will distract you from the focus on your crisis and make you focus on your senses: seeing, touching, hearing, smelling, and tasting. 1 more technique is to move your body. I don't say you have to go to the gym or anything. Just move your body. It has been scientifically proven that when you store the negative energy in your body and you don't externalize it, your body will take the lead and get rid of it, but internally. And here start the diseases, the organic one, the serious ones. And it is simply remarked that our grandparents who lived into the wartime, who worked on the earth, who kept their bodies moving to live actually, not because they knew their bodies will turn against them if they don't. These people are healthier than us, the desk people, the internet kiddos. Not mentioning the happiness and satisfaction you get after a nice cardio session. But easy. It doesn't mean that you need to do a cardio session right now. Start by stretching, then walking, then maybe running. If you are a gym person, do it. If you are not, start slowly. You do you. Just keep your body in motion, and it is important. It is not a luxury, it is not a nice to have, it is a must have. Why? Because during the sport session, you won't think about anything. You won't overthink. You just execute, or you just focus on the thing you are doing. Stretching, walking, and even weightlifting. You focus on it to do it right. And you give your brain a well-deserved break. Monthly maybe once, then weekly maybe once, then daily. Then it will be a part of you. You will feel the need to do it. And when you reach that point, you will be working on yourself physically and mentally. كغاية. One more little thing that can be helpful, that I personally not regular at, but I hope you will do it better than me. The magnesium. I don't know if you know or not, but the lack of magnesium in your body can compound the anxiety. So just try to get enough of it. Take it as a food supplement, or even better, try to get it from foods like green veggies, nuts. Again, you do you. You decide what is better for you. Just keep it in mind. And I would add to that the essential oils. They help a lot, for real. Yes. Naturopaths proved that the essential oils such as lavender, rand, qarfa have an effect apaisant on your body, so you can use them some drops on your heart zones can do magic. Try it and let me know what you think. One before last advice to you: moderate your consumption of coffee, please. It is not fancy, it is not تبينك واعر or anything. It aids on the concentration, yes, 100%. It can keep you awake to achieve tasks, sure, but it's caffeine. And it has really bad consequences on your body, especially your heart. Your heart. And cherry on the cake, it compounds the anxiety. And I'm not talking about 1 cup a day, that's okay, that's normal, cool. But I know some people who replace meals by coffee and cigarettes, and at 10 a.m. they are on their 3rd cup of coffee. Why? Don't do that to yourself, please. Your body is the only place where you will have to live. My last but not least advice is to limit the screen time before bed. Please. It is hard, I know. The charm of 30 seconds TikTok videos with a genius algorithm that aligns perfectly to your interests. At the end of the day, when you have no energy to do anything useful or healthy, this is seduction. I really do, and I do it, unfortunately, but it's a work in progress for me as well. And trust me when I tell you that the nights where I put some chill playlists, light a candle and read a book, a romance one especially, and I read myself to sleep, these nights I get a way better quality of sleep than the days I keep scrolling until my understanding disappears. I feel like my brain just powers off. So that's it. That's anxiety, that's my experience with it, and that's my hacks to bear it. And that's me sharing it all with you, trying to help if I can. It's hard, uncomforting, but I did it, and I am proud of myself. And if you finished this episode and arrived here without getting triggered and running away in the middle from the problem instead of facing it, then I am proud of you as well. And it will be all right. Always. Promise. Thank you so much for spending the past few minutes with me. If you don't know me, I am a woman who talks. If and only if you liked the podcast, please hit the like button, subscribe, and activate the bell so you'll get notified every time I upload a new episode. Bye.